I I have two definitions here. Two definitions. You guys sit tight because I'm about to do what the Daily Wire has been trying to do. I'm going to do it in like under 10-minute video, and they've been trying to do this for literally years on end. Years on top of years. So the first definition was hate. It's a strong disliking for something. The next definition is pretend, to speak and to act as to make it appear that something is the case when it in fact is not. Lay claim to a quality or title. Now, we very clearly know what pretending is. Let's do some examples. Look, it's a spider in costume. Look, it's the costume that the spider is wearing. Oh, it's a spider pretending to be an ant. Look, it's a dead possum. Wait, the possum's back up. The possum was pretending to be dead. Now, I promised to one-up the Daily Wire. So let me just do this here and hope that I don't get taken down by the one viewer who's gonna watch this video, and hopefully they don't think it's hate speech. Okay, now this is not hate speech, remember, but this is a robber. The robber puts on a policeman costume when he finishes his robbery so that he can blend in with the other officers. The robber is pretending to be a police. Now, all of those examples included the definitions. They were laying claim to qualities or titles that they didn't have, or they were acting as if they were something that they in fact are not. Now, look at this next example and tell me, is he pretending? This is my friend Zenetsu. This is Zenetsu dressed as a girl. Zenetsu was pretending to be a girl. Zenetsu was pretending to be a girl. Now, how come when I look at the real world and I see these men trying to present as women and these women vice versa, why is it now suddenly not okay to say that they are pretending? Where do you distinguish the line between reality and just allowing people to live in a whimsical la la land? Now, stupidity does exist, right? You would say to a man who went to rob a police station, hey, that was a pretty stupid idea. Nature may make people more stupid than others by giving them ailments such as disorders. Now, of course, you're not gonna go to a handicapped person and bully them and make fun of them and call them stupid, but in fact they are stupid. I'm not saying that all people with disorders are of low intelligence. It's just on like a basis of like case to case, you'll find that most of them are unintelligent or stupid. And it's not their fault, it's just their perception of reality. It's misconstrued. It's not realistic. They don't have a real grasp of how the world works. And so in turn, when you throw them out into the real world by themselves, they will act quite stupid. Or the person that has an idea of how electricity works, and they decided They wanted to vacuum, but they turned on the vacuum and they followed the plug to the wall, and they plug in the vacuum, then unplug the vacuum, and they continue to, air quotations, clean while the vacuum is not plugged into the wall. And when they're questioned why they didn't clean, they say, well, I vacuumed. And they are fully aware of their own stupidity. Stupidity is a thing. There are stupid people out there. When you look at these people in the streets running around in interviews saying things like they believe that the separation of genders in sports is wrong, and I quote, "It's bullshit," you start to question the intelligence of the people around you. Now, I said I would do what the Daily Wire's been trying to do, and honestly, I think I failed, because this video is not going to help people in that mental state understand how insane they're acting. And honestly, it's not to get people to not self-identify. It's to get people to admit that self-identification is quite unnecessary in the fact that it's only that. Just because you yourself may identify with certain things doesn't change the fact that you are what you are. That's why you hear scientists, anyone who is indulging in these arguments, anyone who's in the streets dressed up as the opposite sex, you're going to hear them make a clear distinction between biological sex and gender identity. You see, the problem that most of us have with that is that we see them as the same thing. Personally, I don't see a distinction. I don't think you should be able to self-identify. I think that self-identification is fraudulent and retardation. I think it's quite simple. I think it's quite easy to see why someone would say that. Let's just take the word trans, for example. Trans means that something's going from one to another, which would mean that you have to fully acknowledge that you are not what you say you want to be. How about another vocabulary word that you want to use? Gender reassignment. Now, I don't know what you think reassignment means, but I know what it means. One to the other. It's that simple. It doesn't make any sense. Where do we draw the line with self-identification? Some people are legitimately claiming that they are wolves. They're forming packs, and they are genuinely acting like animals, and they are demanding respect. I'm supposed to respect a fucking human being who genuinely believes that they are a wolf. How am I supposed to do that? How? It doesn't make sense. You're literally pretending. Do you understand? Do you understand now? I gave you the definitions, the dictionary definition of pretending, and provided you with 4 pretty spot-on examples of pretending. It's like there's a theory among folks that are like-minded to I, and they believe that some of you folks that are not like-minded to I and who promote transgenderism, they genuinely think that you guys did not have enough time to play as children. They believe that your nonsense is a result of not being able to fully enjoy your childhood and use your imagination. I doubt the validity of those claims, but I do see how you could latch on to such an idea when you look at a child and you see them playing so frivolously and you hear them explain things. You say, this child truly has no grasp of how things really work. That's why parents often lie to their children, and if not lie, they put their foot down, because a child may not understand why he can't have candy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but that doesn't mean he should be allowed to have candy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner just because he doesn't understand why he shouldn't. Now, in the application to reality, why should we allow delusional people to dictate how we act? If we are saying that they're delusional and they are saying that we're delusional, how do you decide who proceeds? One of you has to be wrong, and in this case, it's quite obvious who's wrong if they're literally using terms like self-identification. What the fuck does your identity have to do with anything if you're not sharing it with other people? Let me ask you that. It's usually up to other people to identify you, not you to identify yourself. As a matter of fact, most of us identify ourselves with personality traits, not our sexual orientation and or gender identity. As a matter of fact, your identification for most people is not based on self, and it's based on things like, I don't know, fucking sex organs. You would think that in 2022 no one would have to explain gender, but it's getting worse. It's getting worse and worse every single fucking day. There's people who are adamant that they should be able to do whatever the fuck they want to do. And those people are put in a padded cell. Now, when you think to transgender people, you start to realize that the binds that hold their reality together are very fragile. They seem to have a loose understanding of what reality is. To us, reality is not perception. Reality is not belief. You see, a transgender person is just as delusional as a zealot. You are trying to impose your religious ideology onto me? I think not. I don't believe in the magical man in the sky because it's not real. It's your belief system, but there's not a magical man truly enforcing his doctrine or law onto me. That's something you would like to believe, but that doesn't make it true. You would like to believe a lot of things, So where do we draw the line? That's the biggest question that this video is going to pose. I'm going to end it off soon, but let's just talk about this talking point. Where do you draw the line? If we're gonna start allowing people to just do whatever the fuck they want because it feels good, it makes them feel better, then are we gonna tell the person that took someone's life because they felt like it, hey, this guy is not a criminal. He killed these 3 women because he wanted to, and so he's not wrong. He can't be wrong. If he was truly compelled to kill these 3 women, I see no reason to hold him accountable. This is just what his this is his truth. What about allergies? If someone has an allergy that makes them deathly allergic, should we allow that person to say, you know what, I've been aware of my allergies for a long time. I know I'm deathly allergic to shellfish, but you guys, let's go eat at fucking Red Lobster. No, you would literally tell them, you're crazy. Don't go there. No. Self-identification is literally the equivalent to, oh, I don't know. It's like willfully being retarded. There's a whole lot of people out there. We like to call them snowflakes and brand them ill in the head. But somehow they've gained so much authority, it doesn't make any sense. Look at Kamala Harris. Look at Joe Biden. They're out here pushing these people forward into the light. But there's gonna come a time where we've just had enough. And the repercussions are gonna be horrible. I don't want to see. You see, here's the problem. You're calling this video hateful. This is not hate speech. This is not even a warning. This is just commentary on reality. Now, if this is hate speech, and this should be censored, and this should be kept away from the eyes and ears of people, then you're willfully allowing it to get to the worst point. You see, this is what's in between the violent hate crimes that are gonna start being perpetuated. This is in between that. This is the only thing stopping people from taking matters into their own hands. You see, vocally trying to rally people together to create an understanding is completely different from berating and insulting. I feel as if we genuinely need these types of discussions just so we can find a common ground. If you're a transgender person, I think that you have an idea of what you've done or what you are doing. When you use words like dead name, or when you use words like self-identification, you're quite obviously and quite blatantly trying to disregard the reality of your situation, which is that you are using the term trans. You are literally going from one to the other. Some people can't distinguish biology from your self-identification, and so it's genuinely creating hate inside of them. Hopefully, you transgender folks can understand now with this video why so many people are so adverse to your shenanigans and debauchery. I really need something to happen to create, I don't know, kind of a shield or a filter, because if things continue the way that they are, I'm not saying I will become a violent person, but you can quite obviously see a lot of people are becoming hateful and do not like the ideology that these transgender folks are perpetuating. So, hopefully, this information can act as a buffer and something can happen to where you guys can compromise, because there's going to be a day in which someone has to fold and someone has to press. And I know that you guys think you're strong and you think that your beliefs are what make you you, but there is a reality, and the reality is inalienable. There's no way to distinguish yourself from reality. It's like when you're dreaming. You dream, but when you wake up, you know when you're awake. There's an essence of reality that you just can't take away from. I hope at the end of the day, you lot, you can find a way to exist comfortably and happily without pretending.